Scum Dad, be reserved, your ex-wife is cheating with her 3 kids. Episode 51. I am not your master. Lu Xining looked at him with disappointment. Her voice dropped and became cold. You don't even need to investigate, and you trust Lu Cici so much? Do you know that she? No matter what she did, you shouldn't break into the Ji family and poison her. Ji Mai's words silently slapped Lu Xining in the face. Lu Cici, who was hiding behind him, gave her a smug smile, her eyes full of mockery towards her. When Ji Mai's eyes came over, she turned into a pitiful look with tears in her eyes, biting her lip and looking at him aggrievedly. I really didn't do anything. I haven't even left the Ji family's house these days. If you don't believe me, you can ask the housekeeper and the others. I've been recuperating in my room. She stroked the injured half of her face, which still had scars left by the friction of gravel. I have taken care of Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe for 2 years. They are like my own sons. How could I hurt them? Her eyes were red, and she said angrily to Lu Xining, Xining, I know you hate me, but you can't slander me and drug me. Lu Cici looked up at Ji Mai's delicate eyebrows and said to him pitifully, that medicine makes my heart hurt so much. She simulated this many times in front of the mirror. If it were any other ordinary man, he would have been defeated by her beauty and self-torture. But Ji Mai just called her a family doctor. When the doctor came, he gave her a series of examinations, but there was nothing wrong. Lu Cici raised her voice to say that it was impossible. My heart hurts like being bitten by a bug. How can there be nothing wrong? You must have checked it wrong. Although the doctor who came was the family doctor of the Ji family, he had countless students under his command, most of whom were experts from major hospitals. He himself was also a medical master. How could he have checked it wrong? If he had not received the favor of the Ji family when he was young, he would not have come to do this family doctor. Miss Lu, if you don't believe me, you can seek help from someone else. Since he started to be a doctor, no one had ever questioned his medical skills like this in person, and the family doctor's face immediately darkened. Dr. Chen, that's not what I meant. The family doctor knew Lu Xining, and his eyes immediately lit up when he saw her. In front of everyone, he called out a name that surprised them. She subconsciously wanted to pull Ji Mai's arm, but the man walked up to Lu Xining and asked her, what evidence do you have? The strong smell of hormones broke in. Lu Xining frowned and took 2 steps back, looking up at the handsome and noble man in front of her. She turned on her phone and played the recording. Arrange a few reliable people to arrest the 2 boys of the Ji family. Make sure Ji Mai thinks that it was Lu Xining who did it. Don't worry, he won't be suspicious. He has 100% trust in me. Remember, you must find someone with a tight mouth. Notify the old lady to sell Lu Xining's daughter. The farther she is, the better. She will never find her daughter in her life. Take good care of the child. Don't let the people of the Ji family find her. The blood on Lu Cici's face faded. The voice in the recording is indeed her voice, and the content is true, but she can't let Ji Mai think it's true. This is not true. With the development of technology, it is easy to synthesize voices. You know me, there is no reason to do this. Ji Mai did not reply to Lu Cici's words immediately, nor did he comfort her. His deep cold eyes stared at the expressionless Lu Xining. Everything is fake, only you are real. There was a ball of anger burning in Lu Xining's chest. She thought that when it came to her son's affairs, Ji Mai would definitely not trust Lu Cici 100%. What happened? Isn't his silence a disguised trust? After a long while, he spoke, Cici is not wrong. Lu Xining felt like she was going to vomit blood. She rolled her eyes in front of him, and looked at Lu Cici as if she was looking at a dead person. Men are unreliable, and the key is still yourself. This medicine is called the 3-day sacrifice. As the name suggests, after taking this medicine, 3 days will be the day of sacrifice. The key is that those who take the medicine will be in agony during these 3 days. If Ji Chao and Ji Zhe lose even a hair, I will take your life to pay for it. Lu Cici seemed to have caught Lu Xining's handle, and immediately cried to Ji Mai, you heard it, she admitted that she poisoned me, this name doesn't sound good. Lu Xining was not afraid that Ji Mai would know about this. She glanced at her daughter who was sleeping on the monkey's shoulder and reached out to hug her. The monkey patted the little girl's back and said to her gently, Nuonuo is asleep, I'll hold her. The monkey looked ferocious, but his personality was a fighter among gentleness. He spoke to Lu Xining and Lu Nuonuo much more gently. Lu Xining nodded. There was an indescribable atmosphere flowing between the two. Like family, but also like The black eyes that looked at them silently were extremely cold. He looked up and down at the monkey, his throat was slightly dry, his thin lips were tightly pursed, and his whole body was cold. At this moment, the little guy lying in the monkey's arms said something in his sleep and murmured, "Dad." The monkey smiled gently and patted her back soothingly. "Nuonuo is good." This scene was seen by Jimai, and he laughed at himself in his heart. Lu Xining was also looking at her daughter. He didn't see Jimai's expression. After her daughter fell asleep, she left with the monkey. When she passed by Jimai, she didn't even glance at him. Her delicate and beautiful outline contained coldness and disappointment. At the door, the people brought by Lu Xining and Jimai's people were fighting against each other. Seeing them come out, the Lu family bodyguards immediately stepped forward, protected Lu Xining and the others in the middle. After leaving the Ji family, Lu Xining immediately asked Haozi to track down the fish that had escaped the Lu family, focusing on Lu Cici's admirers. However, she never thought that when she got the final address, she actually saw a familiar name. How could it be him? Episode 52. The antidote is to survive tonight. The car with the fake license plate actually belongs to Jiang Jishu. When Lu Xining and his men found him, he was drunk in the bar. She asked someone to bring in a bucket of cold water to wake him up. "Ning, Sister Ning?" Seeing her, Jiang Jishu's face turned pale, thinking of the woman lying on the hospital bed. Did something happen to Linlin? Lu Xining threw the photo in his face with a cold face. "Jiang Jishu, this car is yours, right?" The drunk Jiang Jishu took a closer look and nodded. "This car is indeed mine, but I gave it to. You gave it to your confidant some time ago, right?" Lu Xining continued for him. "Xue Lin knew you were cheating on her because of this car, and she was so frustrated that she jumped off the building while pregnant. Am I right?" Jiang Jishu's face turned pale and he did not refute. Lu Xining's words were like a heavy burden on his heart, making him breathless. She took the phone from the table and handed it to him, her almond eyes cold. "Now. Immediately. Right now. Call this woman out to me. Even a fool would know that." Something was wrong. Jiang Jishu hurriedly asked, "Sister Ning, what happened?" He asked while pulling the person out of the blacklist. The other party was a little unknown in the entertainment industry. She looked good and was brought to the wine party for his entertainment. He played with her for a while. He dialed the phone and the other party's joyful voice came. "Mr. Jiang, you finally remembered me. Huan missed you so much. Nightclub 808, give you 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, the woman hurried over. Seeing Jiang Jishu, who was soaked in the dim box, she was stunned for 2 seconds, then raised her smiling face and pounced on him like a butterfly. At this moment, the lights in the box came on. Lu Xining was sitting on the sofa behind Jiang Jishu, staring at the woman with cold eyes, and the latter saw her face suddenly pale. "It seems you know who I am." The woman came back to her senses and shook her head. "No, I don't know." Her cheeks turned pale, her eyes dodged, her hands tightly grasped her short skirt, and she didn't dare to look into Lu Xining's eyes. "Where were you at 4 o'clock this afternoon?" I was at home." Lu Xining's fingers were very slender, like a pair of hands playing the piano, but at this moment she pinched the woman's neck fiercely, making it difficult for her to breathe. "Han Li Juan, I'm not a soft-hearted person. I'll give you one last chance. What did you do at 4 o'clock this afternoon?" Frightened by the fierce momentum around her, Han Li Juan used her hands to pry Lu Xining's hands, while shaking her head wildly. "Or I'll ask it another way. What did Lu Cici promise you?" Han Li Juan looked at her with fear and guilt in her eyes. She didn't expect that she would know all this. The fear in her heart was a little bit of a way out. In a flash, she thought that Lu Cici was about to become the wife of the Ji family and the wife of the president of Shuren Group. At that time, she would be rich and prosperous. Han Li Juan told herself that it would be fine if she just endured it this time. However, "It hurts, please let me go. I really don't know anything, I've been at home all day." Jiang Jishu looked at the figure floating under Han Li Juan's skin, and was sobered up by the shock. The reckless man sat quietly by the side without saying a word. Lu Xining looked at Han Li Juan with a gloomy face, his eyes were cold, his eyes swept across her eyes, and he spoke lightly. "Continue." Seeing that the new pill was about to enter her mouth again, Han Li Juan shook her head frantically to resist but could not resist the strength of the monkey. At the last moment, she finally couldn't bear it and compromised, confessing everything. In Sunset Village on the outskirts of the city, Monkey immediately asked his men to find someone. It was a righteous thing. Maybe he was not as good as Ji Mai. But for those bastards hidden in the dark, no one had a wider network of contacts and stronger strength than him. They are from the Liu family. They said that if I cooperate with them in acting, they will give me 200,000 yuan. My mother needs a lot of money for hospitalization. I have no choice. They forced me to do it. Please let me go. Lu Xining looked at the crocodile tears on her face. He sneered. Han Lijuan, I'm not that fool that Jiang Jishu is. Do you think you can be forgiven by using the self-torture trick when you make a mistake? My adoptive father died of illness, and as for my adoptive mother, you sold her to the Liu family for 10,000 yuan. Now I don't know where she lives with a widower in the deep mountains and old forests. Han Lijuan's eyes were full of fear. The woman in front of her actually knew her secret. Tortured by both mental and physical pain, she lay on the ground, curled up, and trembled with fear. Jiang Jishu, who was standing beside her, widened his eyes in astonishment. He paid more attention to Han Lijuan because of her miserable life experience, which gave him the illusion that he had become her savior. The results are all fake? Thinking of how he had lied to Shui Lin for her many times and left home at night to take care of her, regret surged in his heart. Jiang Jishu looked at Han Lijuan with hatred. It was because of her deception that he felt sorry for his Linlin. Not long after, Monkey received news from his men. He leaned close to Lu Xining and whispered quickly. Lu Xining nodded and went to the address with him. Han Lijuan collapsed to the ground like a dead fish. Seeing Lu Xining and the others were about to leave, she immediately rushed over and hugged her legs. You said you would give me the antidote. Lu Xining kicked her away and looked down at the woman on the ground. She was not tall, had an average figure, and was not as good-looking as Shui Lin. A pair of almond eyes glanced at Jiang Jishu with sarcasm and coldness. This man's eyeballs are just decorations. For such a commodity, let down Shui Lin. Blind, even more ironic. Receiving the sarcasm in her eyes, Jiang Jishu's heart tightened. He read the meaning in her eyes. He lowered his head and dared not say a word. Lu Xining looked at her with lowered eyes and sneered, the antidote is, to survive tonight. Han Lijuan asked in fear, what if you can't survive? She raised her eyes and looked up at the noble beauty in front of her, who was as beautiful as a goddess. Her delicate facial features were more beautiful than any woman she had ever seen. Lu Xining glanced at her, if you can't survive, wait for death. Han Lijuan trembled all over, and couldn't believe what she said. She wanted to rush over, but was kicked over by the monkey. The severe pain in her heart made her speechless. The box returned to silence. Han Lijuan placed her hope on Jiang Jishu. Before she opened her mouth, she saw the contempt in the man's eyes. Sunset Village on the outskirts of Jingzhou. When Lu Xining arrived, Monkey had already cleaned up the scene. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe were carried out by bodyguards. Lu Xining checked the bodies of the two children immediately. There were no external injuries, but the children were sleeping like this, which showed that they had been fed medicine. The emotion of losing and regaining made her eyes red. Her hatred for Lu Cixi increased. Lu Xining asked Monkey to go back to pick up her daughter, and she took Ji Chao and Ji Zhe back to Xian Laboratory in advance. She needed to make sure that the drugs in the two children would not cause damage to the children's brains and bodies. Soon, the helicopter was dispatched. Just when Lu Xining took the children on the helicopter, a black Maybach rushed over. It stopped not far away. Ji Mai got out of the car and walked quickly to Lu Xining. He reached out to hug Ji Chao in Lu Xining's arms, and Yan Dong hugged Ji Zhe in the bodyguard's arms. However, Lu Xining dodged sideways, and the bodyguard also dodged Yan Dong's hand. The people of the Ji family and the Lu family faced each other again. Lu Xining held the child tightly, a scornful smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and every word was like a sharp knife stabbing into the man's heart. As the president of Shuren Group, is this all you can do to find someone? Episode 53. The child will become an idiot when he wakes up. Ji Mai's eyes were always on the two children. Seeing the solemnity on Lu Xining's face, he was worried and nervous deep in his heart. He was not angry at the sarcasm in Lu Xining's words. He asked her with concern, are Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe okay? Lu Xining looked at him holding her palm. The warm touch came from his palm. She lowered her eyes and spoke bluntly. If you stop me again, you will be in trouble. The man narrowed his black eyes and his eyes fell on the helicopter. This is the plane specially used by Xian Laboratory to pick up patients. It has many privileges. Lu Xining could mobilize this helicopter, which was beyond his expectation. Ji Mai held her wrist lightly, but did not let go because of her words. He said in a deep voice, "I am the father of the child. You can't always exclude me. Xining, I love both children as much as you do." Ji Mai stepped forward and looked down at her, "Either leave the children behind, or I'll go with you." In the night, the sound of the helicopter was very loud. Lu Xining hesitated for only a few seconds, and then took Ji Mai to the Xian laboratory. Before boarding the plane, she looked back at the monkey in the moonlight. The latter nodded. The tacit understanding between them flowed in the air. Ji Mai took everything in his eyes, and a dark light flashed across his deep eyes like a cold pond. He pursed his thin lips and hugged Ji Zhe in his arms. The black car behind the Maybach. Lu Sisi looked at the child in Lu Xining's arms, and anger surged in her heart. What a bunch of trash. Lu Xining held Ji Chao and sat beside him. Before the cabin door closed, Lu Sisi ran over crying. She deliberately did not wear a coat, trying to use her own weakness to influence Ji Mai's emotions. Little did they know that in the middle of the night, she was wearing a pure white dress. Her face was pale, like a devil crawling out of hell. How could she be pitiful? Lu Xining looked at Lu Shishi, who fell to the ground, and said to the man beside her, "Your Shishi fell down, why don't you go down to help her?" Ji Mai glanced at her lightly, "Don't be sarcastic. You obviously don't want me to help her, so why say these words to make both of us unhappy? Is it true or not?" Lu Xining. Ji Mai pulled a blanket over the side and covered Ji Chao and Ji Zhe. Because they were holding the child, the distance between them was also shortened a lot. The cold masculine breath came to her face. Lu Xining's body stiffened, and she moved to the side without a trace, and the man saw the small movement clearly. He sank his eyes, and the dark eyes looked like the dark night outside the window, which made his handsome face more moving. Ji Mai's eyes fell on her tired eyes, and he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. The silent factor moved slowly in the cabin. The helicopter left the ground. The figure below was getting smaller and smaller. Lu Xining glanced at the man with closed eyes beside her, hugged Ji Chao in her arms, and closed her eyes to rest. She rushed back to Jingzhou from country seed during the day, and now she had to fly to Xian laboratory. The surgery the night before and the rush today made her eyes more and more tired. Lu Xining couldn't help but close her eyes and fell asleep. But her hands, always holding her son tightly in her arms. The helicopter quickly took them to the nearest airport, where the medical plane of Xian laboratory was waiting. Time passed by minute. It was almost dawn when they arrived at the country C laboratory. The unconscious Ji Chao and Ji Zhe woke up, nestled in the arms of Lu Xining and Ji Mai, listless and without much strength. The assistant had received the news from Monkey a long time ago. He rushed over with a medical team and an ambulance bed. "Ms. Lu, the professor has received your message and sent us here to pick up the two children. Don't worry, we will do our best." Lu Xining nodded and put Ji Chao on the bed on the left, while Ji Zhe was put on the other bed by Ji Mai. The two children were quickly sent in for examination. The assistant glanced at the man and said to Lu Xining in front of him, "Miss Lu, the professor wants you to see him in his office." Lu Xining nodded and followed her out. Ji Mai stayed outside the examination room. After changing her clothes, Lu Xining personally examined the two children. Everyone was familiar with Ji Chao and Ji Zhe. After all, the two children had just left here some time ago, and they didn't expect to come back so soon. "Professor Lu, the drug data in the children's bodies is out. It's the latest dementia drug developed by Country M." Upon hearing this, her beautiful face was instantly covered with frost. Lu Xining looked at the data in her hand, and the paper was unconsciously wrinkled into a ball by her. Ji Mai looked at Lu Xining, who came back from the other direction. Her face was very bad, and the blueness under her eyes seemed to have become more serious. At this time, the door of the examination room opened from the inside. Someone came out and told him the results of the examination of the two children. "It's the dementia drug from Country M. Even if it's just a trace amount, it will cause damage to the child's brain. If the child is sent later, even if he wakes up, he will become an idiot." Ji Mai's black eyes suddenly froze, and his eyes were filled with haze. He glanced at Lu Xining beside him. There was no surprise in his eyes. It was obvious that he already knew the situation of the two children. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe were sent to a private ward. Lu Xining sat by the bed with heartache and regret in her eyes. After staying with him for a while, she called Ji Mai out. She handed Ji Mai the recording of Han Li Juan. Hearing that this incident was related to the Lu family and Lu Sisi, her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow against the bright light above her head. Ji Mai's voice was cold. I will ask someone to check this. Lu Xining sent the recording directly to his mailbox, without saying anything bad about the Lu family or Lu Sisi. She looked indifferent, as if she was not surprised by any decision of Ji Mai, nor did she have any expectations. There is a lounge next to it, you can go and rest. Lu Xining passed by him, his arm was grasped by him, and the man's low, magnetic and slightly hoarse voice sounded. Where are you going? Back to the ward. You go to rest, I'll accompany the child. In the end, both of them stayed in the ward to accompany the child. She leaned on the sofa in the ward and closed her eyes to rest, while the man sat on the accompanying chair beside the bed, with no emotion on his face. After a long time, Ji Mai turned back. The woman leaning on the sofa had fallen asleep. He got up and walked to her side, picked her up horizontally, laid her flat on the sofa, and took the blanket next to her and covered her. Lu Xining frowned, turned slightly sideways, and fell asleep again. Ji Mai lowered his eyebrows, stood beside the sofa and looked at her for a long time without saying a word. All his emotions were hidden under his long eyelashes. After a moment, he slowly squatted down. When Lu Xining opened her eyes, she did not see Ji Mai. She checked the conditions of Ji Chao and Ji Zhe. Their complexions had recovered and they should be able to wake up in a while. Lu Xining glanced at her watch. It was almost lunchtime. She waited for a while and did not see Ji Mai coming back. She wanted to go back to the lounge upstairs to change clothes before coming down. Lu Xining contacted her assistant to come over. Unexpectedly, the other party brought her an unexpected news. Episode 54. Pregnant again? Ji Mai went to find Professor X. X is Lu Xining's nickname. Only people inside the company know the true identity of Professor X. It was actually her. Mr. G came early this morning to inquire about Professor X's reception hours. He wants to ask him to help treat someone. Here is the patient's information. The patient suffered a facial injury that left scars. He tried many cosmetic procedures but couldn't recover, so he came to our laboratory. The assistant handed over a piece of information. She is one of the few people who knows about the relationship between Lu Xining and Ji Mai. Lu Xining flipped through the file. Not surprisingly, she saw Lu Sisi's name. She thought Ji Mai had to come this time because he was worried about the two children. Unexpectedly, the ultimate goal was still Lu Sisi. The heart was like a piece of red-hot charcoal, thrown into cold water, making a sizzling sound. The sun was shining outside the window, dispelling the coldness in the room, but it couldn't drive away the shadow and chill in Lu Xining's heart. Ji Mai returned to the ward with the lunch he had just packed in his hand. His eyes fell on the sofa at the first time, but he didn't see her. The bodyguard was guarding the bedside, and when he saw him come back, he got up and left. When Lu Xining entered the room, she met a pair of deep black eyes. She looked away expressionlessly and sat down by the bed. Ji Mai opened his thin lips slightly. I bought some food, you eat first. She said politely but distantly, thank you, but no thanks. The laboratory ward was equipped with a kitchen, dining room, toilet and bathroom, as well as a sofa for accompanying. The meals he packed back were all on the dining table. She didn't want to eat, and Ji Mai had no appetite to eat either. The ward was silent, and she could hear her own heartbeat clearly. Fortunately, Ji Chao and Ji Zhe finally woke up. Ji Mai and Lu Xining immediately surrounded them. The two children were really scared this time. When they woke up and saw them, they immediately burst into tears. Pinsu.com. Don't be afraid, Xiaosa, Dad is here. Don't cry, Xiao Chao, the bad guys have been beaten away by your mother, and they will never appear in front of Xiao Chao again. Each of them held a child and coaxed him. Ji Chao's tears covered Lu Xining's shoulders. Compared with Ji Zhe's loud crying, this child's crying was silent and distressing. When the child's emotions stabilized, she asked someone to do a comprehensive examination of the child and confirmed that all indicators were within the safe range. She finally let go of her worries. When the child just woke up, his stomach was very empty. Lu Xining asked the assistant to prepare some light meals and send them over. She and Ji Mai fed one child each. The daytime time slipped away so quickly, and Ji Chao and Ji Zhe calmed down when they saw them accompanying them. The two did not ask the children to remember the memories of the Sunset Village. Ji Chao and Ji were obviously afraid of those hours. At night, the problem appeared. Torchi, Ji Makino was not good. The two Children now depend on her and Jimai. The strands of hair on her forehead were still slightly wet, and they slid under her collar along his delicate contours. When he came out, Lu Xining was about to go back to her room to change clothes, but was stopped by Jimai before leaving. His voice was deep and steady. Do you know Professor X? Lu Xining looked at him without denying. Under the dim light of the ward, the pair of black eyes flashed a dazzling light that was completely different from that of Professor X, reflecting the moonlight outside the window. He walked to her step by step, his handsome eyes slightly moisturized and looking at her steadily. Cece's scar on her face is too serious. I heard that Professor X's new beauty pill can quickly repair the skin. Can you? Lu Xining sneered, no. She didn't finish listening to his words, but she refused without hesitation. Cece is to Xiaoza. Before Jimai could finish his words, he heard Lu Xining's cold voice, with deep disgust for Lu Cece. I wish Lu Cece would die. How could I spend my time to ask someone to help her restore her appearance? All this is her own fault. The last poison and the dementia drug this time are obviously related to Lu Cece. You are reluctant to take action against her, but I am. No matter what your relationship with her is, I will not let her go. Lu Xining expressed her attitude. She has asked the relevant lawyer team to sort out the phone recordings and Han Lijuan's confession. It is only a matter of time for Lu Cece to go in and reunite with the Lu family. As for Jimai. Seeing the sarcasm and contempt in her eyes, Jimai's heart trembled suddenly. He wanted to explain, but Lu Xining did not give him the opportunity. You came here because of the two children. I think you should understand what is more important and don't put the cart before the horse. She passed by him and her wrist was grabbed by the man. He had a cold and elegant face, lowered his voice and said to her, you just need to connect me with Professor X, and I will take care of the rest. Lu Xining struggled to break free and refused, I don't want to. Lu Xining, you are also a girl, you know how important face is. I don't know, I only know that hurting others will hurt yourself. She hurt my child, she must pay 100 times 1,000 times the price. Lu Xining was very emotional. Jimai didn't dare to say anything too harsh to her. He took a deep breath, adjusted his mood and prepared to have a good talk with her. I have asked someone to investigate the matter of Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe. The evidence on your side came too quickly and may not be true. I have seen how good she is to Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe. She really loves the two children. Lu Xining, you can't impose your resentment and hatred on her in other aspects. It's unfair to her who really cares about the two children. Her eyes paused for a moment, and her mind went blank for a few seconds. Hearing Jimai's words, she felt for a moment that there was a generation gap between her and him, spanning two worlds. A strong feeling of nausea surged from her throat. She pushed the man away and ran straight to the bathroom. The water vapor inside had not dissipated yet, and the man's changed clothes were still piled on the shelf. She held the sink and kept retching. She hadn't eaten during the day, and her stomach was empty. Lu Xining couldn't vomit anything. She turned on the cold water and splashed it on her face. The coolness made her thoughts clearer and clearer. The disappointment with Jimai that had accumulated over time reached its peak at this moment. Jimai stood outside the bathroom door and heard her uncomfortable retching. In front of him, he recalled the disgust in her eyes when she looked at him just now. The hand at her side clenched into a fist. Lu Xining came out after washing her face, her lips were pale, and the hair on both cheeks was slightly wet and stuck to her face, adding 2 or 3 points of weak beauty. Her lower abdomen was slightly aching, and she subconsciously covered her stomach. Jimai reached out to help her but was avoided. His eyes darkened as he looked at her hands, protecting her lower abdomen. A suspicion flashed through his mind, followed by an inexplicable pain in his heart. Are you pregnant again? After saying that, he distanced the two of them. There was a self-deprecating sneer at the end of his eyes. Lu Xining's hands were on the wall. She was very weak after not eating for a day, and her stomach was cramping and she felt particularly uncomfortable. The world in front of her began to fade away, and her vision became blurred. She suddenly raised her hand slowly towards his face. Episode 55. What does her child have to do with me? Lu Xining wanted to say, I'm pregnant with you. However, her stomach ached so much that her arms fell down weakly. The exhaustion of the past 2 days made her faint. She felt herself falling into a cold embrace, and there was a faint anxious and nervous voice coming from her, like Jimai's voice. But then she thought it was impossible. He didn't like her and hated her. He only had Lu Cece in his heart. How could he? Professor Lu, you're finally awake. The assistant had been guarding Lu Xining's side. He breathed a sigh of relief when he saw her wake up. There were several doctors in white coats in the ward. The concern in their eyes was genuine. Sister, you scared me to death. I thought you were going to die young. You haven't taught me your unique acupuncture yet. You can't. Bah. Junior brother, if you say one more word, be careful that senior sister will twist your head off and kick it like a ball. The junior brother who was named shrank his neck. Then will you sew it back for me after kicking it? Remember to sew it beautifully for me, I am a bit obsessed with faces. Lu Xining. A group of funny people. She looked around and didn't see the shadow of Ji Mai. I can't tell what I feel in my heart. Seeing this, the female assistant explained, Professor Lu, it was Mr. Ji who brought you to the ward. Now he is in the ward downstairs with the two children. Lu Xining supported the bed and was about to sit up. The senior brothers and junior brothers hurried over to help, chattering about her concerns, fearing that she would have another accident. Sister, I know you are very anxious, but don't worry. Even your iron body is useless, and my small body is even worse. The funny junior brother came over and smiled. So give me 2 days off to rest? Lu Xining didn't even need to speak. He had already been dragged out by his senior brothers for a heart-to-heart talk. We agreed not to hit people in the face. Ah. I'm handsome, unrestrained, and suave. Compared to the bustle of the ward here. Ji Mai stood on the balcony. On the other side, looking into the distance. Behind him were his two sons who were still sleeping. Thinking of the weak Lu Xining just now, his heart seemed to stop suddenly, and he had only experienced this feeling on her. The sunshine in country seat is much hotter than that in Jingzhou. Just in this short time on the balcony, he felt warm. There are mountains in the distance, and the specific location here cannot be seen. But the environment is indeed very suitable for patients to recuperate. At the gate not far away, a black Bentley slowly approached. The man I met last night got out of the car first, leaned over and took out a pink little ball from the car. The little guy trusted him very much and was very close to him. When he picked her up, her short legs kicked in the air. Even if no sound could be heard, just from the brilliant smile on Lu Nuonuo's face, it could be seen that the little girl liked him very much. Monkey carried her to the laboratory. As soon as he got out of the car, he noticed a sharp and scrutinizing gaze falling on him. He raised his eyes and met the man on the balcony not far away. Lu Nuonuo hugged his neck and pointed at the entrance of the laboratory and asked him to leave quickly. Uncle Fu, find your mother. Monkey came back to his senses and looked at her with a loving look. Okay, Uncle will take you to find your mother. The figure below disappeared, and Ji Mai retracted his sight. The twins who had eaten lunch and medicine in the room were sleeping soundly at this moment. There were bodyguards from the Lu family at the door of the ward. He asked them to take care of the two children, and he went to Lu Xining's ward upstairs. The female assistant and the brothers and sisters had all left. Lu Xining was eating. Monkey came in with the little girl in his arms. As soon as he entered the door, the little guy in his arms struggled to get down and trotted all the way to the bedside. Mom. Lu Nuonuo supported herself on the bed with both hands, one foot on the ground, and the other foot grunted and stepped towards the bed. But she was too small to climb up. Almost fell down. Lu Xining and Monkey felt nervous and took action at the same time to lift her up to the bed. Little Tuanzi took off her shoes very quickly and threw herself into Lu Xining's arms in her socks, asking for a hug. Monkey took her half-eaten meal off the bed with skillful and natural movements, and looked at the mother and daughter with gentle and warm eyes. Nuonuo, be good. Mommy is sick and can't hold you all the time. Uncle will take you back to the room to rest later, okay? Little Tuanzi nodded obediently and quickly got out of her mother's arms. Lu Xining hugged her and kissed her, her voice sweet. It's okay, our new abao is not heavy, and mommy is just right for her. Lu Nuonuo patted her belly and nodded. Monkey smiled helplessly. Sister Ning, you only know how to spoil your children. The three people had relaxed smiles on their faces and in their eyes. The atmosphere was harmonious as if they were a family. Outside the door, a pair of cold pine eyes were as deep as ink, and through the crack of the door that was not closed tightly, everything was in sight. He did not enter the room. He left after making sure that Lu Xining had woken up. Looking at the back, it was a bit bleak. Lu Nuonuo had been on the plane for a long time, and was soon taken to Lu Xining's bedroom by the female assistant to wash up and rest. Monkey went to find Housie to deal with the rest of the things. Lu Xining changed her hospital gown into home clothes and went to the twins' ward downstairs. The children had woken up and were eating fruit. Seeing her come in, Ji Chao and Ji Zhe said at the same time, "Mom." Lu Xining smiled and nodded. Ji Mai raised his eyes and glanced at her lightly, without stopping the action of peeling fruit, and the coldness on his body was stronger than before. She walked to the bedside of the two children and sat down. "Xiao Chao, Xiao Zhe, are you feeling uncomfortable?" Ji Chao shook his head. "No, I'm not feeling uncomfortable." He held up the small fork in his hand and fed the fruit to her mouth, and said like offering a treasure, "Mom, Dad peeled the fruit, it's so sweet." Ji Zhe also learned from his brother and fed her the fruit. Lu Xining did not refuse the kindness of the two children. She chatted with them for a long time before letting Ji Mai go out with her. There was a movie screen in the ward, and she played cartoons for the two children. Then she went to the corridor outside with Ji Mai. She could clearly see the situation of the two children from her position. Seeing Ji Chao and Ji Zhe lying quietly on the bed watching cartoons, she turned her head to look at the man beside her and told him word by word. "The kindergarten is about to have summer vacation. I will ask for leave from the teacher for the remaining few days. Let the children stay with me in country C during the summer vacation." This is the result of Lu Xining's careful consideration. Lu Sisi lives in Ji's house. If the two children return to Ji's house, they will inevitably encounter the third murder. Although she has a lot of skills, she is also afraid that she will not be able to get to the children in time. Just thinking about it, she felt her heart twitch. "Ji Mai, you always say that I'm targeting Lu Sisi, but have you ever thought about why I'm not?" He looked up at her, waiting for her to continue. "You have been called a genius since you were a child. You are invincible in academics and work, but you are not smart in love, even dull." This is the first time someone has used dull to describe him. Ji Mai's eyebrows and eyes were cold, his deep eyes were like frost, and he stared at her red lips as she continued to speak. "Lu Sisi is the pure white moonlight in your eyes. Whatever she does seems innocent to you, but have you ever thought about it?" He asked in a hoarse voice. "What?" "Love can make people have dark thoughts. We have been married for 5 years. Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe are my and your children. Have you seen enough of the gray things that happened in the circle because of inheritance? The Zhang family killed their father to seize power, the Wang family killed their brother to grab shares." She paused every time she talked about a case, observing the emotions in his eyes, and the dark eyes that were as cold stars were bottomless. The Ji family is the head of a wealthy family, rich enough to rival a country. Even if Lu Sisi doesn't covet your wealth, what if it's for her future child? He frowned. "What does her child have to do with me?" Lu Xining was speechless by his words. "You don't still think that Lu Sisi doesn't like you, and there is nothing between you two, right?" Ji Mai looked at her puzzledly. "What else?" Lu Xining. Is this man really stupid, or is he playing dumb? Just as the two were in silence, the female assistant hurried over and whispered a few words into her ear. Lu Xining's expression suddenly changed. Episode 56. Handsome junior brother, protecting his shortcomings. Think about it carefully and give me a reply later. Ji Mai leaned against the wall, his knees slightly bent, his thick long eyelashes like black fans cast a faint shadow, and he looked at the ground in silence for a long time. Lu Xining hurriedly left with the female assistant. Shui Lin's health suddenly deteriorated, and various indicators began to decline. She faintly lost the will to live. When she returned to the twins' ward again, it was already late at night. The children went to bed early. There was no trace of Ji Mai in the room. She covered the children with quilts and was about to go to the sofa to rest and keep watch when she heard movement from the balcony. The thinly dressed man stood in the night and looked at her. Lu Xining was so scared that her heart trembled violently. She opened the balcony door and stood face to face with him. Lu Xining asked him for his answer in the afternoon. After being blown by the cold wind for a long time, the man's voice became a little hoarse, and his deep and mellow voice sounded as cold as jade. "I can promise that the children will follow you during the summer vacation, but you have to agree to one request of mine." Lu Xining asked him, "What request?" Ji Mai said faintly, "Ask Professor X to treat Cece's face." His voice blended into the night, and there was a hint of repressed emotion hidden in his indifference, like the coldness of snow water invading Lu Xining's ears. Sure enough. In fact, it is not difficult to heal the scars on Lu Cece's face, and simple medical beauty methods can solve it. The reason why it has not been handled well is because of her medicine. As early as the moment she learned that Lu Cece moved into Ji's house, Lu Xining expected that she would not give up her evil intentions, so she left the two children at Lu's house. Unexpectedly, she would move her mind to the kindergarten. The medicine she fed Lu Cici before would not only torture her body day and night, but also make her wounds worse. Lu Cici is not kind, so she is not kind. Lu Xining suddenly curled her lips. Okay, I promise you. She turned back to the ward without leaving him half a glance. Not long ago, Ji Mai passed by a ward and saw Song Henian lying quietly inside, a person who should not be here. Although the Song family in the south of the city is capable, even the Ji family can't reach a cooperation with the Xian laboratory, let alone the Song family. The only explanation is Lu Xining. Although the female assistant said it lightly just now, Ji Mai still heard Song Henian's name, and saw that she immediately changed her face when she heard the name of her first love, and her steps were hurried without any hesitation. Leaning on the sofa, Lu Xining pinched her swollen eyebrows. Song Henian has been in a coma for many months in Jingzhou Hospital and has not shown any signs of waking up. After sending him to the laboratory, she used the latest developed drugs combined with unique acupuncture to stimulate his brain. Just now, Song Henian's hand moved. She and her team got him a comprehensive examination and found that his brain-thinking activity was abnormal and much more active than before. This is a good sign for them. Lu Xining adjusted the dosage of the medication, modified the subsequent treatment plan, and determined a series of follow-up work before returning. Her body had not fully recovered, and she was exhausted, and her face was a little paler than during the day. Before returning, she went to see her daughter. The little girl had fallen asleep with the female assistant. Thanks to the medicinal food she had stewed for them before, and the sugar beans she fed them from time to time, Ji Chao and Ji Zai's bodies have a certain resistance to drugs, which increases the success rate of treatment. Thinking about it, she fell asleep because of sleepiness. Ji Mai walked in with a cold look, and the thin coat could not block the night wind outside. His eyes fell on the sofa next to him. The woman fell asleep on the sofa with her chin supported by her palm. There is a new accompanying bed in the room today. Ji Mai bent down and carried her to the bed. The familiar light fragrance lingered in his nose, causing his eyes to wander for a moment. During the 5 years of marriage, she often waited for him to get off work and fall asleep on the sofa in the living room. Every time, he carried her back to the room. The woman slowly opened her eyes and looked at him with a little confusion. The busy days in recent days made Lu Xining's thoughts confused, and she couldn't distinguish the present from the past. She thought she was dreaming again. She dreamed of the 5 years of marriage life with Ji Mai. Husband, why did you come back so late? I was so sleepy waiting. She murmured softly, but she was not very conscious. Lu Xining fell asleep as soon as her head touched the pillow. Ji Mai was left alone to maintain a bent posture. He squinted his eyes and looked at the woman on the bed, wondering if she said this to him 5 years ago, or to her current husband. Realizing what he was thinking, Ji Mai suddenly stood up straight, took 2 steps back, and reminded himself that she was married now. There was no light in the room. Ji Mai lay on the sofa, staring blankly at the darkness above his head. The beast trapped in his heart had the tendency to break through the barrier. He closed his eyes and suppressed the boredom that had gathered in his heart. For him, Lu Xining had remarried and had a daughter. This was an unchangeable fact. A ray of dawn light penetrated the curtains into the room and fell on Lu Xining's eyes. She frowned uncomfortably. Soon, the light in front of her eyes was blocked. The center of her eyebrows slowly relaxed. Ji Mai closed the curtains, covered the child with a quilt, turned into the bathroom, and changed into the suit he had worn before. When he came out again, he turned back into the cold and noble President Ji. 9 o'clock in the morning. It was the time that Lu Xining arranged a meeting with Professor X for him. When Lu Xining woke up, all the fatigue on her body had gone away. The phone vibrated. It was a call from the female assistant. She probably had a guess in her mind. The moment the call was connected, Ji Mai's voice was heard. It was his usual negotiating tone. Judging from the content, they should have been talking for a while. Lu Xining leaned against the bedside, and heard the man's deep and magnetic voice in his ears. Every word was for his Lu Cici. As long as the scars on her face are cured, no matter how much the price is, but make sure her skin is restored to its original state. The man pretending to be Professor X was Lu Xining's funny junior brother. He naturally knew the relationship between Ji Mai and her, and when he heard him asking for medicine for another woman, his face was not good. Mr. Ji, I'm curious, your 2 sons are still being treated in the laboratory. How did you come up with the idea of asking for medicine for another woman? Ji Mai's voice was sharp and ruthless. This is my family matter. The funny junior brother sneered and reminded him. I will save your child for the sake of master. Ningning, not because I'm short of money. The patients of ZN Laboratory, from the top of the powerful to the wealthy, all ask for money to prolong their lives? Any drug developed by our laboratory is a product that major pharmaceutical companies seek to cooperate with. Money, as long as we want, can be endless. The lively junior brother really wanted to throw the amount of the bank card in the face of the man in front of him and tell him harshly, my senior sister is rich, very rich. Hearing the intimacy of Lu Xining in his words, Ji Mai's cold face darkened a degree, and at the same time he also heard the rejection in his words. Thinking of Lu Cici's life-saving grace to Ji Zhe. Ji Mai asked in a deep voice, what do you want to save her? A chuckle came from the other side. As long as you answer 3 questions for me, I will give you medicine, but I want to hear the truth. Ji Mai, please speak. The junior brother sat up straight and looked at him, without any carelessness in front of his senior brothers and sisters, and his tone was solemn and serious. Are you asking for medicine or love? You wasted 5 years of her youth, have you ever regretted breaking up? Ningning and Lucia green tea fell into the sea. If you can only save one, who would you save? Episode 57. He also knows a big secret. Don't mention Ji Mai. Even Lu Xining on the other end of the phone was shocked by the 3 questions from the lively junior brother. Are you serious about the last question? But the questioner didn't think there was anything wrong with his question. Seeing that he didn't answer, the junior brother continued to ask, why, is it difficult to answer? The sharp and clear eyes stared at the eyes of the man in front of him. The displeasure and anger mixed in the bottom of the opposite eye seemed to be venting for Lu Xining. The lively junior brother has a top-notch baby face, with 3-dimensional and full features, a tall and handsome nose, and is the face that girls like most nowadays. Although he is not young, he looks like a college student who has not graduated yet. The white coat on his body adds a bit of professional charm to him. Ji Mai said coldly, it's not difficult. Hearing this, Lu Xining on the other end of the phone felt nervous. Although she knew she shouldn't have any expectations, she still wanted to know if those 5 years were worth it. The man continued to add, ask for medicine, no regrets, save Lu Cici. Lu Xining's hand holding the phone loosened, and the corners of her mouth were bitter. How could she expect his answer? She has suffered so many losses, haven't you seen it clearly? She didn't continue to listen to the following answers, hung up the phone, and stared at the lively decorative paintings opposite the bed with a dull look. Junior brother frowned, you have never loved sure. Ningning? Love? Ji Mai was stunned by the question. He thought of Lu Xining's betrayal of abandoning her husband and children, divorcing and remarrying without hesitation, and even having a lovely daughter with the current one. The chill spread to his limbs little by little. Ji Mai did not directly answer his junior brother's question, but asked him about his relationship with Lu Xining. The lively junior brother rolled his eyes, I am her most important man. 1. He and his senior brothers and sisters are all family, how can they not be important? Xia Chuanzi called him uncle. Junior brother had been paying attention to Ji Mai's expression. When he heard what he said, the black in his eyes became more intense. Deep in the darkness, it seemed as if a sleeping beast was lurking. The man's calmness at this moment was more like a disguise under repression. Junior brother immediately had an idea in his mind. When Ningning gave birth to Nuonuo, the family signed for me. You don't know how cute Nuonuo was when she was just born. It was the first time I saw a child so beautiful when he was born. The most important thing is, I was the first person to hold Nuonuo. The other senior brothers and sisters were either having surgery or preparing for surgery for Lu Xining. He was the least experienced and was waiting outside. Of course, he would not tell the man in front of him the specific reason. His eyes swept over Ji Mai's clenched fists. The veins on his arms under his shirt bulged, but his face was still calm. This man's scheming and self-control were really too strong. Junior brother, who realized this, decided to make persistent efforts. However, the man said something that made him full of question marks. Ji Mai asked him, do you know that she remarried? Senior sister remarried? How is this possible? He, who had a keen mind, immediately realized the trick. Could it be that the senior sister lied to her ex-husband and said that she was remarried? Ji Mai noticed the surprise of the baby-faced junior brother when he first heard his words. A doubt arose in his heart, which he quickly hid. The junior brother did not notice Ji Mai's probing gaze. He was immersed in the strategy he had conceived and slowly revealed a smug smile. So what? I am the man she loves the most. Who made him the youngest, sweetest-mouthed, and best-charactered junior brother among all the brothers? Ji-mai's face darkened when he heard his shameless words. He pretended to test, are you her lover? The junior brother's dark eyes turned and he deliberately spoke in an ambiguous way. The word lover is too perfunctory. It can't reflect the feelings between her and me. To be precise, I am her favorite. She only has him as a junior brother, how can he not be the favorite? Every word seemed to be wrapped in lingering and heart-moving sugarcoating, as if everything he said was true. As soon as the voice fell. Sure enough, the man's face was as black as ink. At this moment, how could he remember to ask for scar removal medicine for green tea? Mai's body slowly relaxed. He did not miss the cunning in the boy's eyes, and showed his emotions as he said. Ji-mai stood up suddenly. Since Professor X is unwilling to cooperate, forget it. The man was about to leave, but was stopped by the sneering voice behind him. Mr. G, I didn't understand in the past, but now I finally know why Ningning wants to divorce you. Just based on my one-sided statement, you suspect that there is some shameful relationship between Ningning and me. Heh. No wonder she doesn't want you. The man's words were like a thorn piercing Ji-mai's heart. He was handsome and tight, and didn't speak for a long time, nor did he leave the office. He turned and looked at someone in a white coat. The powerful aura was not deliberately suppressed, and it was fierce and intimidating. It made someone's scalp numb. Only then did a certain junior brother realize that Ji-mai's passivity just now was all a disguise, and the real him was more terrifying than the beasts in the forest. Ji-mai's sharp eyes fell on his fair face, and the quietly brewing chill pierced his eyes like a sword. You are not Professor X. The man whose lies were exposed was not panicked and nodded in acknowledgement. Indeed, I am not. The real Professor X is my senior. He is on a business trip and has no time to treat your vicious lover's face. He raised his eyebrows and smiled, even if he was here, I would not let him treat it. The other party's words were undoubtedly provocative. ZN Laboratory is indeed powerful and has countless talents, but my G family is not a pushover. Ji-mai did not change his face because of his words, but calmly exposed his true identity, which made his eyes suddenly freeze. And you, Jing Zhang, are just an unrecognized illegitimate child of the Jing family in Gangchang. What qualifications do you have to shout at me here? Ji-mai's upbringing did not allow him to say such harsh words. Maybe Jing Zhang himself had forgotten. They had met on the day when he returned to the Jing family, the most embarrassed. The baby-faced boy in front of him had a cold face, and his previous publicity and perverseness were gone, and his body under his clothes was trembling slightly. Seeing that his emotions were about to collapse, he hurriedly grasped the white jade bracelet on his left wrist. This was a jade bracelet specially customized for him by Lu Xining. Able to calm down. He lowered his eyes and sneered, closed his eyes, took a few deep breaths before suppressing the violence and uneasiness in his heart, and slowly looked up at Ji-mai. Jing Zhang looked at his expressionless face and curled his lips slightly. Mr. Ji, you must not fall in love with Ningning, otherwise I will be the biggest obstacle in your life. Believe it or not, as long as I don't agree, you will never get her and Nuonuo's approval in this life. The firmness and confidence in his voice made Ji-mai frown. He glanced at Jing Zhang lightly and said, if that day really comes, you don't have the ability to influence what happens between me and her. Little did he know that one day in the future, Jing Zhang really became the biggest obstacle between him and Lu Xining, as he said, and also became the key to his daughter's recognition of him. The arc of Jing Zhang's mouth corners widened, and a sinister dark light flashed in his eyes, quietly brewing an imperceptible plan. Really? Then we'll wait and see. I bet you'll be defeated by Ningning in this life. After all, he still knows a big secret. Episode 58. There is no place for you in my heart. Jing Zhang's words were like a spell. They kept echoing in Ji-mai's ears until he walked back to the ward and saw Lu Xining, who was taking care of the two children while they were having breakfast. When the female assistant came over with Lu Nuonuo, Ji-mai was standing at the door of the ward, looking at the two children inside, one big and two small, with a deep, dark gaze. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe were very excited to see the little girl. Sister. Lu Nuonuo got down from the female assistant's arms, walked around the man at the door, ran towards them with a grunt, and threw herself into Lu Xining's arms. Mom, hold me. Lu Xining held her daughter to sit on her lap. The little girl was still holding her bottle in her hand, drinking and waving at Ji Chao and Ji Zhe. Brother. The three little ones hadn't seen each other for 2 days, and their feelings were strong. Chao and Ji Zhe are gradually recovering. There is a large lawn downstairs for the children to play. Lu Xining plays with them. Ji Mai stayed in the Xian laboratory for a week. In principle, relatives are not allowed to accompany him for such a long time, but he has a special status and there is an exception. Today is his last day in the laboratory. Before leaving, he wanted to say something to Lu Xining, but she stopped him from speaking directly, with a cold look in her eyes as if he was just a stranger. I contacted the person for you. It's your business if you didn't reach an agreement. The person who met me was not Professor X, but Jing Zhang. Lu Xining's eyes flashed with surprise. She asked her female assistant to contact her senior brother to come forward. The other party was also an internationally famous Doctors Without Borders. Unexpectedly, the person who came forward was Jing Zhang. She looked at him warily. Do you know anyone from the Jing family? The defensiveness in Lu Xining's eyes was like a piece of wet paper, covering his face, like an ancient punishment, stealing his breath. It made him feel suffocated and unable to breathe. Ji Mai said indifferently, I have seen him, but I am not familiar with him. His answer made Lu Xining's heart more solemn, thinking of his lifeless appearance when he just picked up Jing Zhang. Ji Mai, if you dare to tell others about Jing Zhang's identity, I will never let you go. This was the first time Lu Xining threatened him. For another man. Lu Xining, how many parts can your heart be divided into? First love, husband, lover, how many men do you have? She did not explain the plot he had imagined. She just smiled at him. Ji Mai, don't worry. No matter how many parts it is divided into, there will be no part for you. Believe it or not, I am now sincerely wishing you and Lu Sisi to be together forever. The premise is, don't hurt my child. In the sun, her skin was as delicate as jade, her eyes were bright and shining, but every word she said was like an ice blade condensed by winter frost. Ji Mai tried to find something against her will in her eyes, but found that she was sincerely blessing her, and her eyes were honest. The heart seemed to be clenched, and numbness spread to the limbs. The two of them stood and sat, and there was a faint stalemate atmosphere around them, which was finally broken by the three little ones who ran over. Dad, the kite is hung on the tree. Hold me and sit on your shoulders, I'll take it. Ji Zhe took Ji Mai's hand and walked towards the tree where the kite was hung. He was eager to take the kite down by himself. The man's Adam's apple rolled, and the words that came to his mouth were swallowed back. He held Ji Zhe to pick up the kite. Ji Chao brought Lu Nuonuo to Lu Xining to drink water. She wiped the sweat from the foreheads of the two children and fed them water. When Lu Xining took Ji Zhe's water bottle to find him, the latter was sitting on Ji Mai's shoulder, reaching for the kite on the tree. However, the next second, Ji Zhe's whole body suddenly fell backwards. Be careful. She ran forward quickly and reached out to catch the fallen Ji Zhe. The man also reached out to hold the child behind him. The two hands clasped on the child's body, and the electric shock-like feeling was transmitted from the fingertips to the brain. Without time to think, both of them protected the child. Finally, Lu Xining hugged Ji Zhe's body. She and Ji Zhe were held tightly in Ji Mai's arms. The three of them had panic on their faces. She patted the child's back and gently comforted him. Don't be afraid, Xiaoza, it's okay, mommy will catch you. She was so focused on the child that she didn't realize that she was also held in the man's arms. When she felt her side stiffen, Ji Mai had already let go of her and lowered his eyes to look at Ji Zhe in her arms. Ji Chao and Lu Nuonuo also saw the thrilling scene just now. They ran over to comfort Ji Zhe. The latter blinked, his eyes moving back and forth between Lu Xining and Ji Mai. The touch of being held in their arms at the same time just now dispelled the initial panic in his heart, making him reluctant to separate. The arms of mom and dad were equally warm. The two children had just recovered, and Lu Xining was worried that they could not bear it, so she suggested going back to the room to rest. But Ji Zhe was very interested. The little episode just now did not affect him at all, and he insisted on pulling Ji Mai and Lu Xining to fly a kite together. Mom, let go of the kite. Dad, run faster, the kite is going to fall. In order to cooperate with the children, the two put aside the unhappiness just now and accompanied the three children to fly kites for a long time. The scenes on the lawn. All were seen by Jing Zhang upstairs. Ji Mai had not played with the two children like this for a long time. His eyes fell on the faces of Ji Chao and Ji Zhe. The two similar white faces in the sun were stained with a faint blush because of running around. They laughed and their eyes were full of joy. They were tired of playing with kites. The children started playing the blindfolded game again. Ji-Zai's personality is becoming more and more lively. He jumped in front of Ji-Mai, pointed at his tie and asked, "Dad, can you lend me your tie?" After getting the tie, he ran to Lu Xining again. "Mom, use this to blindfold yourself." She looked at the blue tie in her son's palm, pursed her lips, and hesitated. Just when she was about to say that she could go back to the room to get her own scarf, she took it after seeing the hope in Ji-Zai's eyes. It was rare to see Ji-Zai so happy, and she didn't want to let him down. "It's just a tie, nothing." 5 minutes later. Lu Xining had Ji-Mai's tie wrapped around her eyes. Ji Chao was holding Lu Nuonuo and hiding not far away. Ji-Zai ran even further away. The little girl couldn't hide her laughter at all and was soon caught by her. Ji Chao had been holding her hand and was caught as well. Now only Ji-Zai was left without making a sound. He moved his feet carefully, avoiding the direction where Lu Xining was reaching out to catch people. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers. A gust of wind blew by, and she smelled the scent of the child, raised the corners of her lips and walked in a certain direction. Lu Xining stretched out her hand. "Xiao Zai, mommy caught you." The moment her hand grabbed the other person, she immediately realized something was wrong. The cold touch, like a wheelchair. She covered her eyes and touched up again, and touched a cool hand with clear knuckles and slender fingers. Next was the wrist, so thin that it hurt her hand. Lu Xining slowly stood up, pulled off the tie on her eyes, and the first thing she met was Jing Zhang's smiling eyes. "Sister Ning, who do you think he is?" Her gaze slowly moved down and met a pair of amber-like crystal-clear eyes, as cold and distant as ever. Behind her, Ji-Mai was holding Ji-Zai with a cold face, his thin lips tightly pursed into a line, and his unfathomable black eyes, at this moment as cold as the water in a cold pond, staring at the person in the wheelchair. The person sitting in the wheelchair was actually Episode 59. Song Henian, long time no see. Lu Xining, long time no see. Song Henian had just woken up, his voice was a little hoarse, and the look in his eyes when he looked at her was obviously surprised, and there was a light that she could not see through. In the past, he had always been cold and indifferent, but now he smiled at her gently, his face was pale, and he was weak after recovering from a serious illness. Seeing him suddenly, Lu Xining was stunned for a moment. She quickly reacted. She held the tie in her palm and smiled at him brightly. "Long time no see, Song Henian." The man's eyes were slightly stunned. "You know everything?" Lu Xining nodded. "It was your father who asked me to send you here." Song Henian was silent for a long time and said, "Thank you." The two have not seen each other since she married Ji-Mai. Counting, it has been 6 or 7 years. The long time gap created a subtle distance between the two. They looked into each other's eyes and remained silent for a long time. In Ji-Mai's eyes, this scene was like her reuniting with her first love after a long separation, lingering with vague feelings. "Dad, you hurt me when you hugged me." Ji-Zai's voice brought Ji-Mai back to his senses. He relaxed his strength and gently patted his back to coax him. Song Henian's sight crossed the air and collided with him. The aura of the man in the distance was stronger than before. Just standing there was an existence that could not be ignored. Long before he returned to the Song family, he knew that Lu Xining and Ji-Mai had divorced. 2 years ago, they separated. 2 years ago, he returned to the Song family in the south of the city. The eye-to-eye contest between the two men was only before the blink of an eye. Ji-Mai was dressed in a black suit, and his strong magnetic field made people not allow anyone to argue, like a stormy sea. Just standing there was better than anything else. Those deep and dark sharp black eyes were like a falcon soaring in the sky, arrogant and oppressive with a strong sense of oppression. He stared at Song Henian quietly, with a cold arc at the corner of his mouth, and saw through the secrets and emotions hidden in his heart at a glance. He held Ji-Zai in one hand, and the sunlight fell on his shoulders and coated him with a layer of golden light, but his eyes were as piercing as frost. Thoughts returned to the night of the wedding. Tasting the forbidden fruit for the first time, he knew the taste of the marrow. He worked tirelessly, and he and her went up and down in the deep sea, and rushed into the sky again and again. In the end, Lu Xining was so tired that she couldn't lift her fingers. Her almond eyes were red, and she looked at him in disbelief with accusations. "You are not forbidden." Before she finished speaking, her reason was offline again. In the end, he took her to take a shower and carried her back to bed. It was almost dawn at that time. He went to the balcony to cool down and saw the lonely shadow of Song Henian leaning against the car door, looking up at the direction of the third floor of their villa. That was their first confrontation. Ji-mai didn't take Song Henian seriously, thinking that he was just a loser. But later, they met again by accident. This man dealt a fatal blow to his marriage. His stable life, which made him feel confident, set off a huge wave, and he has come to where he is now step by step. The sharp sight behind him was like a thorn. Lu Xining turned around and bumped into the thick dark color in the man's eyes like fog. She looked at him puzzledly. She didn't understand the way he looked at her. Why did he feel like he was looking at his cheating wife? How could it be possible? How could Ji-mai have a possessive desire for her? She must have seen it wrong. Song Henian, on the other hand, half lowered his eyes, wondering what he was thinking. Jing Zhang's sight shuttled back and forth between the three people. His clear eyes passed through the dark light of the plan, especially when he saw Ji-mai's increasingly dark face. A happy smile rippled at the corner of his mouth. Seeing his eyes light up, Lu Nuonuo let go of Ji Chao's hand and hurriedly ran towards him. The tender voice of a child called Jing Zhang loudly. Uncle. The little guy ran very fast with a cheerful pace, threw himself into Jing Zhang's arms, and kissed him on the cheek. Uncle, I miss you. My dear, Uncle misses you too. Jing Zhang picked up the little dumpling and weighed him, jokingly saying, Nuonuo, have you eaten a lot recently? Uncle can hardly hold you anymore. Lu Nuonuo pouted, not fat, Uncle Su. Jing Zhang. This child's mouth is the same as her mother's. She is young, but she doesn't want to eat even if she is wronged. She will take revenge on the spot. It's Uncle Su, our Nuonuo is not fat at all. Jing Zhang lifted her up and spun her around, and his silver bell-like laughter echoed around. He held Lu Nuonuo and walked to Ji-mai, showing his white teeth, and introduced himself as if he was meeting him for the first time. Hello, Mr. Ji, my name is Jing Zhang, Sister Ning's half-brother but as close as father and mother, and Nuonuo's uncle. To be precise. Little Dumpling has 7 or 8 uncles, and 3 or 4 aunts, they are all Lu Xining's senior brothers and sisters. But he is the most special one among them. Because he is her only junior fellow apprentice. He waved at Ji Chao and Ji Zhe, greeting them warmly. Hello, 2 handsome boys. I am your mother's younger brother, Nuonuo's uncle, rounding off, you can also call me uncle. Right, former brother-in-law? Ji-mai narrowed his eyes, with an obvious sense of danger and deterrence. His facial features were as sharp as a knife, his eye sockets were deep, his nose was high, and his profile was like a biting winter wind, with a strong and domineering sharpness. He snorted coldly. Jing Zhang's smug smile on his lips slightly restrained, and he touched his nose, feeling that he was completely crushed. A man who is so fierce deserves to have no wife. He avoided Ji-mai's sight and turned around with the little ball. The little guy is not afraid of heights at all, and especially likes the games between him. After a while, seeing the sweat on Jing Zhang's forehead, Lu Xining came over to take his daughter from his arms and pinched her nose to tease her. You always ask your uncle to lift me up high, you're naughty. The little girl hugged her neck and smiled happily, expressing her love for Jing Zhang frankly, and the latter was coaxed into a rage. It was almost time. Jing Zhang sent Song Henian back to the ward to rest. Lu Xining also returned to the ward with the 3 children. Ji-mai followed them without saying a word, following like their protector. In fact, as early as the first day of arriving at the Xian laboratory, Ji-mai had already obtained the geographical coordinates of this place. Yen Dong also brought people to guard the periphery of the laboratory. Lu Xining didn't know this. It was time to leave. He comforted his 2 sons and took a last look at Lu Xining. The latter's nerves immediately tensed up, her hair stood up, and she had the illusion of being stared at by a wild beast. Her body was slightly stiff, and she didn't look back at him. Ji-mai got on the car responsible for picking up and dropping off in the laboratory. The glass was made of a special material and pure black, so you couldn't see the outside. After half an hour of twists and turns, he finally arrived at the periphery of the laboratory. A row of black cars had been parked there neatly, with a low-key black Maybach in the middle. Yen Dong watched him get out of the car with an anxious look on his face. Ji-mai had not been able to contact people outside in time during the days he was in the laboratory. If it weren't for the fact that there was no problem with his positioning system, Yen Dong would have suspected that his boss had been destroyed by his ex-wife. He walked over quickly and said, Boss Ji, Miss Lu is in trouble. The group hurried back to Jingzhou and went straight to the hospital. Seeing Lu Cici's miserable condition, even Ji-mai couldn't help but frown. Her face was full of scratches. The bloodstains were crisscrossed and extremely terrifying. Looking closely, there was not a single piece of smooth skin on Lu Cici's face. Seeing him, she burst into tears, and her tears slid down the stairs, causing stinging. She wanted to hold her face but didn't dare to touch it because of the pain. Lu Cici cried and accused him of Lu Xining's evil deeds. My face is completely disfigured. Lu Xining, she hurt me. Episode 60. Lu Xining, I can't sleep. The hot search has exploded again. The airport hot search about Ji-mai, the president of Scum Group, taking the new star Lu Cici abroad for medical treatment, quickly topped the list in the entertainment industry. When Lu Xining saw the news, the two were already in the most famous plastic surgery hospital in H country. Lu Cici wore a hat, a mask and sunglasses, without an inch of skin exposed, and was tightly protected by the bodyguards of the Ji family. Ji-mai spent a lot of money to hire an entire medical team to serve Lu Cici full-time, just to heal the scars on her face. The news exaggerated Ji-mai's care for Lu Cici. He accompanied her to see the doctor, stayed with her overnight, and comforted her excessive emotions. The childhood sweetheart's innocent relationship was envied by netizens, and also made Lu Cici's popularity higher and higher. Many directors extended olive branches to her. It's just that the hot search of had just fermented when it was suppressed by Scum Group. The speed was so fast that it was astonishing. If it weren't for Housie sending it to her, she might not have known about the photo from its appearance to its disappearance. Just like the 5 years of secret marriage. How powerful is Ji-mai's true strength? Lu Xining didn't know. But she knew that in addition to Scum Group and the Ji family, he also had a force hidden in the dark that was equally powerful. As long as he didn't want to happen, it would never happen. Similarly, as long as he didn't want her to know something, he could always control it perfectly, just like the years when she was married to him. Lu Xining suppressed the bitterness in her mouth and continued to be busy in the laboratory. It was a week later that she saw Ji-mai again. She was making a recovery plan for Song Henian. His legs were pressed for too long because of the car accident, and he couldn't walk normally at present. Just after analyzing his first phase of training, the female assistant knocked on the door and told her that Ji-mai was back again. Lu Xining frowned in confusion. He was not in H country to accompany Lu Cici to treat her face. What was he doing in C country? She gave her the medicine herself, and she knew it herself. No matter how Lu Cici had plastic surgery, it would be useless. That kind of medicine would penetrate the skin into the bones. The itch from the bones would make people unable to help scratching it, and it would only be barely relieved until the skin was broken and bleeding. Even if it is cured this time, there will be the next time. It goes on and on until it can't be tolerated. This is also one of the reasons why she is not in a hurry to send Lu Cici in to accompany the Lu family. It is better to control the enemy in her own hands. Lu Xining caused Ji Chao and Ji Zhe to go to the hospital twice, and she only gave her the medicine once, which was already very cheap for her. But Ji-mai doesn't seem to think so. Outside the ZN laboratory, Ji-mai sat in the back seat of the black Maybach and closed his eyes to rest. During this period, he flew to several countries. In order to promote cooperation on foreign projects, he has been working non-stop for a week without a good rest. The most important thing is that he can't sleep. Without Lu Xining by his side, without her scent, he found that he didn't feel sleepy at all. Even if he took medicine to fall asleep, he would wake up soon. But these did not exist when he was in the same child's ward with her. Even if he lay on an uncomfortable sofa, he could sleep very peacefully. It was a long-lost comfort and enjoyment. So, Ji-mai came back. Seeing Lu Xining get off the laboratory shuttle, Yendong immediately opened the door of the back seat and whispered to the man who closed his eyes to rest. Mr. Ji, the wife is here. The long eyelashes like crow feathers trembled slightly, and the handsome eyes as dazzling as obsidian looked at the woman not far away through the car window. Today she wore a light blue long-sleeved dress, her long hair was tied up, and her round earlobes were wearing a pair of pearl earrings, which made her skin as white as snow. When she saw him, her bright red lips pursed into a displeased line. Ji-mai pinched his tense brows and stepped out of the car. His strong and powerful long legs wrapped in black trousers first came into her sight, and he walked towards her step by step. Lu Xining's tone was a little impatient. Why are you here again? The man's voice was low and mellow like a year-old wine, calmly narrating the reason for his return. Lu Xining, I can't sleep. If you can't sleep, take medicine. Can you fall asleep here? Lu Xining thought his reason was too ridiculous. Even if he said he came to see the child, she might still be soft-hearted and let him meet. But, can't sleep? What is the magical reason? Ji Mai's temples ached after not getting a good rest for a long time. He has always had a problem with sleeping well. After marrying Lu Xining, this situation has improved a lot, and even he himself can't explain the reason. After the divorce, the headache problem came back. He endured it all. A button blood type. Ji Mai could only take medicine because he couldn't sleep. As time went by, his dependence on the medicine became more and more serious, and the dosage continued to increase. The family doctor had long suggested that he try to quit the sleeping pills. But he couldn't do it. Until he met Lu Xining again. No need for medicine, as long as she was by his side, the problem of insomnia would not exist. After tasting the taste of a night's sleep, Ji Mai even had the idea of greed, and was finally suppressed by reason in the deepest darkness of his heart. Understand the reason why he came. Lu Xining did not plan to take him back to the laboratory. Just as she was about to return to the car, the man grabbed her wrist. This time he controlled the strength and did not hurt her, but he also made it impossible for her to break free. He looked into her eyes steadily. How much does it cost? Just tell me. Lu Xining frowned. What do you mean? If you want to treat the symptoms of insomnia, so many doctors at home and abroad can't cure it? It's not a difficult disease, you. Ji Mai looked at her with burning eyes. It can't be cured. The disbelief in her eyes was so undisguised. He only felt that his temples were more painful and swollen, his lips turned pale, and his brain was throbbing. The 5 years we got married were the time when I slept the best. The second was the few days I lived with you last week. Ji Mai was frank, but Lu Xining was scared enough, so she quickly interrupted him and stopped him from saying the rest. Who lives with you? We are here to take care of the child, you have to speak clearly. Otherwise, what if someone misunderstands me? Hearing this, the man's face suddenly changed, his delicate jawline suddenly tightened, and his eyes looking at her were full of deep inquiry. Suddenly he sneered. Who are you afraid of misunderstanding? Jing Jiang, or Song Henian? Lu Xining felt that Ji Mai's mood was very wrong recently, and what he said gave her an illusion of taste. On second thought, she felt it was impossible. Ji Mai's fingers holding her wrist slightly tightened, and a domineering and strong breath broke into her nose, making her retreat uncomfortably. Sensing her resistance and evasion, the man's heart sank again and again. Are you afraid of me? Shouldn't I be afraid? You even want to protect the murderer who hurt your own son. What if you want to kill me, your ex-wife? Ji Mai thought her words were unreasonable. In a society ruled by law, I will not and cannot do anything illegal. Lu Xining sneered and mocked him. Last time, Lu Sisi was released on bail, and this time, she was kept in the Ji family with evidence. The man frowned coldly and stared at her meaningfully. My people found out that those things were not done by Sisi. I know you are worried about Xiao Chao and Xiao Zhe, but we can't slander good people. Yan Dong has been with him for so long, and his ability is unquestionable. A key point suddenly flashed through Lu Xining's mind. Her almond eyes condensed slightly, and she looked at him seriously and said, Is this matter Yan Dong investigating? No, another secretary. Speaking of this secretary, he deliberately glanced at Lu Xining, and the dark color in his eyes seemed to tell her. That person is an acquaintance she knows and trusts. Episode 61. Why did you cheat? Another secretary? Lu Xining was skeptical about this secretary. But there was one thing that was beyond doubt. Between the secretary and her, Ji Mai trusted the secretary more, even if she handed the evidence to him. Lu Xining sniffed. He smelled of jasmine perfume. She understood in her heart, female secretary? The man's silence was the best answer. His suit was stained with rich jasmine perfume. How close they were, perhaps only they themselves knew. Lu Xining said with a cold face, Let go. The bodyguards on her side immediately stepped forward, followed by the Ji family bodyguards. Yan Dong looked at the two of them nervously for fear of a rift. Let's talk nicely. Regardless of the possibility of hurting herself, she struggled to break free from Ji Mai's palm and said coldly, Mr. Ji's illness cannot be treated here. Ji Mai took 2 steps forward. Lu Xining, what are you feeling awkward about? She denied, I didn't. He looked determined, you did. Lu Xining, whatever you think. A flash of inspiration came to the man's mind, as if he had suddenly grasped something important. Are you bothered by the smell of perfume on me? She paused, her thoughts exposed. Lu Xining quickened her pace and walked towards the car. Just as her hand grasped the handle of the car, she heard the sound of something falling behind her. A deep and magnetic voice sounded. Ji Mai asked her, "Now, is it okay?" Lu Xining turned around, her eyes flashing. The man stood in front of her like a god, with sword-like eyebrows, star-like eyes, a high nose bridge, and thin lips that captured people's attention, becoming a stunning beauty between heaven and earth. The haute couture suit was thrown on the ground by him, and he was only wearing a black shirt. With a perfect and impeccable figure, he was a natural clothes hanger. Standing there, she was destined to be the focus of attention. His hands were on the buttons of his shirt collar, his eyes slightly raised, and he stared at her meaningfully. "Do you want to continue?" The low and hoarse voice brushed across her eardrums, causing her heart to accelerate, like the bewitching music in the misty forest. She naturally raised her eyes and met his eyes as deep as a cold pond. "Ji Mai, what are you doing? Don't you dislike the smell of perfume on me? It's gone now." The closer he got to her, the greater the influence of her breath on him. Ji Mai even felt a little sleepy, and he opened the car door opposite her and got in. Lu Xining. This man's face has become thicker. Yen Dong was not surprised at his boss's performance. Now as long as he could get close to his wife and have a good sleep, he would sleep in the wild. On the way back to the laboratory, Lu Xining wanted to make it clear with him, but when she turned around, she found that the man had closed his eyes and fell asleep, and his long breathing was steady and rhythmic. Is this what he said about not being able to sleep? It has not even been 5 minutes since I got on the car. Men's words are deceitful. Even people like Ji Mai are no exception. Back to the resting place. Lu Xining got off the car first. Before the door was closed, she heard his voice, a little hoarse and a little tired. She replied unhappily, "Go back and rest." There was no movement behind her for a long time. Lu Xining took 2 steps but still couldn't help looking back. He was still sitting in the back seat of the car, looking elegant and refined, like a noble prince walking out of an oil painting. Ji Mai half closed his eyes and looked at her through the car door that she had not closed. The dark color in his eyes made her heart tremble. Looking at her back as she walked away quickly, he slowly got out of the car. The short sleep in the car just now made his tense nerves relax a little, and his rationality returned to normal. He followed Lu Xining back to her room. Ji Chao, Ji Zhe, and Xia Chuanzi were all in the room, and they all smiled when they saw him. The twins immediately ran over and hugged his legs. "Dad, we miss you so much." He rubbed the heads of the 2 children. "Dad misses you too. You play with your sister, Dad has something to say to Mom." The 3 children were playing in the living room, and there was a specially hired parenting expert watching them. Lu Xining took him to the small study next door. "Ji Mai, what tricks are you trying to play again? The self-torture trick doesn't work on me." The man sat on the single sofa in the small study, his throat tightened, and he spoke with some self-mockery. "Lu Xining, do you hate me so much now? I think I have been responsible enough for you and the family during the 5 years of marriage, so why on earth did you want to cheat? Is there any of my prominent family background, financial freedom, and respect between husband and wife that I haven't satisfied you? Why did you betray me and the children? Is the man outside so important? So important that you have to abandon your husband and children to be with him?" Ji Mai has always been a cold-hearted person. He will not say anything even if he sees through many things, and always leaves a line for everything. But only with Lu Xining. After the man finished speaking, he was immersed in sadness and couldn't extricate himself. Lu Xining only felt a ball of fire rushing straight from her heart to her brain, and the string of reason broke instantly. She cheated? This is really the funniest joke she has heard in these years. She grabbed the man's tie and trapped him in the single sofa. The anger dissipated the distance between the 2 people. "Ji Mai, who is cheating? It's obviously you who abandoned me again and again for your little childhood sweetheart, Bai Yue Guang, and from mental cheating to physical cheating, the one who really betrayed the family has always been you. What does it have to do with me?" Sensing her emotional fluctuations, Ji Mai concealed the brilliance in his eyes, and a small hole was opened in the mystery in his heart. He continued to follow her words. "The 2nd year after Ji Chao and Ji Zhe were born, on Valentine's Day, where did you go, who did you meet, and what happened?" Lu Xining was about to answer his question, and suddenly realized that he was being tricked. Thinking back carefully, every movement, every look, and even every word Ji Mai said from the time he entered the study until now, are very similar to how he looked at the negotiation table. He progresses step by step, arouses your emotions, and makes you walk into the trap he sets without knowing it, and become his prey. She loosened her tie and stood up, widening the distance between the two of them, and re-examined all his actions since he appeared today. Both of them are smart people. From their conversation, they immediately knew the crux of the problem. They were both suspicious of each other. The other party had cheated. Lu Xining suspected that he and Lu Cece were having an affair, so who did Jimai suspect she was cheating with? The second year after the child was born. Valentine's Day. A vague memory flashed through her mind. The electric-like thoughts made her heart tremble, and she remembered the unspeakable past in her distant memory. The sound was like a stuck recording tape, and she heard the man asking her why she didn't speak, but she had no way to tell him about this. This is about other people's lives, I can't say it. But I didn't betray my marriage or you, and I didn't abandon my husband and children. What you said is not true at all. Lu Xining's words sank into the man's heart like a boulder. His body was slightly tense, and through his tight shirt, one could vaguely see the outline of his 8-pack abs and the blue veins on his arms. What about Song Henian? On his birthday night, you went to see him, right? Episode 62. I didn't touch her. Song Henian? Lu Xining looked at him in confusion. Why did he bring up Song Henian again? She glared at him unhappily and said in a cold voice, I haven't seen him since I married you. Ji Mai's eyes darkened, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. There was a clear difference between the facts he saw and her explanation. One of them must be wrong. You came here just to accuse me of something that happened a few years ago? Her thoughts were a little confused because of Ji Mai's scandal and sudden arrival, but now she had realized his purpose. She looked at him warily and defensively. Ji Mai, you are not going to use this opportunity to ask for something for Lu Cece, are you? Ji Mai. I just want to know the real reason why you and I are divorcing, Lu Xining. We have a harmonious life after marriage and we have 2 sons. She is the only exception to Ji Mai's smooth life. Lu Xining looked straight into his eyes and said frankly, because I can accept that my husband doesn't love me, but I can't accept that he is married to me and entangled with another woman. The air pressure around them suddenly dropped. The dense coldness enveloped the two people, but they looked into each other's eyes and were silent. Ji Mai, you can't say you don't understand love and don't need love, but give love to another woman. This is unfair to me. Do you know what people in the circle say about me? I only have the title of Ji's wife, but I can't get my husband's heart. If it weren't for my pregnancy, I would have been thrown into a corner by you and forgotten. She smiled sarcastically, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Since when does a woman have to rely on pregnancy to prove her worth? The man's face was as black as ink, his deep eyes were cold and lonely, and there was a click in his frozen heart, and a crack appeared in the ice that had condensed for several years. In a place where he couldn't see, she was so wronged. Lu Xining, I don't know. Her expression became several degrees colder. What if you know? Will you hang up Lu Cece's phone call and not go out to see her? Lu Xining said firmly, Ji Mai, you won't. The atmosphere in the study was tense. The air seemed to be sucked away bit by bit. Ji Mai felt a fire burning in his heart, and every breath was painful. He said in a deep voice, Lu Xining, she is just my friend. Friends will not send sexy photos to married men in the middle of the night, and will not secretly take photos of the side profile of married men and send them to their original wives to show off. Lu Xining sneered, that's not a friend, it's a mistress. Ji Mai's throat seemed to be blocked by a ball of cotton. Just as he was about to speak, he felt that there were endless silk threads entangled his words. She leaned over slightly, got close to his overly beautiful eyes, and told him word by word. The smile at the corner of her mouth continued to expand, soaked in sarcasm. Every time you go out to see her, I receive photos. There are you back in the kitchen making brown sugar water for her, your hands wearing a watch, and you lying on her bed with your shirt half undressed. Ji Mai interrupted sharply, impossible. His tone was serious and solemn, I haven't touched her. Lu Xining continued to lean over and get close to his ear, exhaling the fragrance of orchids. You don't think that only going in is cheating, do you? From you answering the phone, going out for her, sending the driver to give her gifts, and standing up for the Lu family, one by one, there are too many things. The slender white fingers slowly fell on his shoulders, along the black shirt, across his collarbone, fell on his Adam's apple, and slid up and down for a moment along his swallowing action. Lu Xining's movements were ambiguous, but her almond eyes were cold. When their eyes met, the man's black eyes were as cold as frost, looking at her without blinking, letting her get closer to him little by little, without dodging or hiding. The tips of their noses were only a fingernail away. As long as one of them got a little closer, they could touch each other's lips. Lu Xining slowly raised the corner of her mouth. Look, you didn't push me away even though you knew I was remarried. She instantly pulled away her fingertips from his Adam's apple and stood up straight. Ji Mai, you have all the bad qualities of a man. He caught a glimpse of the relief in the woman's eyes. A trace of panic took root in Ji Mai's heart and spread throughout his body. He stood up and wanted to explain to her. But the latter immediately took 2 steps back and distanced the two of them. Ji Mai, it's never that I'm not good enough, it's the bad nature of you men, which has been difficult to eradicate since ancient times. Whoever I, Lu Xining, am with will be happy. At this moment, the iron chain that had been imprisoned in her heart for many years was finally torn off by her own hands, and the fog in front of her eyes was completely blown away by the wind of sudden enlightenment. The smile on her face became calmer and calmer, as if she had accepted everything in the past calmly, and turned to leave the study door. Ji Mai suddenly said, Lu Xining. She didn't stop, and told him when she opened the study door, you can chat with your son for a while, and there will be a car to take you away later. At this moment, the only thing Lu Xining was thankful for was that Zian Laboratory was built by her, and all the capital injections were handled by her. She has absolute say. After leaving the study, she went directly to her office. Recently, several more patients are coming in. Their conditions are difficult, but the key is that the identities of these people are rather special. In addition, the Redwood Resort suddenly stopped bidding. What happened in the meantime? Mouse and Monkey need to investigate. When she came out of the office, it was already dark. She went back to have dinner with her 3 children. She took a special look at the living room, but did not see Ji Mai's shadow, so she thought he had left. After coaxing them to sleep, she still did not feel sleepy. She got up and went to the study to prepare the book. Lu Xining did not turn on the light. The book was on the bookcase at the door. She found it quickly with the help of the light in the corridor. Just as she was about to leave, her ears moved. She seemed to hear the breathing of another person. She went through all the possibilities in her mind. She has 3 lovely children at home. Lu Xining clenched the book in her hand and slowly touched the control button of the light. With a snap, the light in the study was turned on. She held her breath and quickly threw the book towards the man's head on the sofa, but the other party raised his hand and grabbed it. The perception of danger made Ji Mai sober instantly. His fingers tightly clasped the book in his hand, and his sharp black eyes suddenly opened. His eyes were stern, like a nighthawk soaring in the sky under the moonlight. The moment he saw her face clearly, the sharpness in his eyes disappeared in a blink. He put the book on the table beside him, his tense body slowly relaxed, and he shrunk into the sofa, raising one hand to cover his eyes. Lu Xining's pupils shrank suddenly. Why are you still here? The man didn't leave the study at all. After she left, his brain was throbbing with pain. Ji Mai knew that he would not get enough sleep and would not be far from sudden death. Just then, he saw the coat that Lu Xining left in the study. Ji Mai covered himself with her clothes, smelling the familiar fragrance on the clothes, and gradually felt sleepy. He raised his hand and glanced at his watch. It was already 11 o'clock in the middle of the night. He actually slept for 12 hours. No wonder he felt refreshed. But Lu Xining in front of him obviously didn't feel it. The murderous intent in her eyes wished to smash him to pieces. Ji Mai, too sleepy, fell asleep. This was his explanation for staying in the study room. Lu Xining felt that the nerve in her brain called reason was about to break out of control, and she wanted to throw him out. Before she spoke, the doorbell rang first. The ZN laboratory was full of her familiar senior sisters and brothers. If someone saw her ex-husband appearing in her residence in the middle of the night, it would be easy to be misunderstood. Lu Xining warned him, "You are not allowed to come out." But she didn't expect that the person who came to find her was not from the ZN laboratory, but Song Henian, who had just recovered from a serious illness. The high-class flower of a university, the cold school grass with many fans. At this moment, he was sitting alone in a wheelchair and looking up at her with a smile in his eyes. But in the next second, his face changed when he saw the disheveled man behind her. Episode 63. My face, I'll do it like hers. Behind him, at the staircase, Ji Mai's tall and straight figure stood quietly at the railing. His black shirt was slightly wrinkled, and a few buttons on the collar were undone, revealing a large area of fair skin. His sleeves were casually rolled up to his forearms, and his strong arms were lazily resting on the railing. His cold and noble temperament and powerful aura that could not be ignored were even more stunning against the warm yellow wall lights in the corridor. He didn't say anything, just standing there had already won. Song Henian's silence triggered a conditioned reflex in Lu Xining. She turned around and saw the man standing at the stairs on the second floor, and her face immediately darkened. This man did it on purpose. She turned to Song Henian at the door and said, "He came to see the two children. Is there something you need to come here so late?" Song Henian retracted his gaze and nodded at her. "I have feeling in my legs." "That's great." Lu Xining was also happy for him. She still remembers the first time she saw him, which was at the school's freshman sports meeting. The boy ran freely on the playground, the wind blew up his hair on his forehead, and his fair and beautiful features made him the focus of a university all the way. He broke the long-distance running champion record with the first place. "I heard that no one has surpassed it so far. I want to strengthen the training tomorrow, is it okay?" She nodded and said, "I'll have someone check you again tomorrow morning. If the data is good, we will enter the second stage of training in advance." Song Henian has a signature beauty eye. When he is indifferent, he is cold, which makes people feel distant. Once he smiles, he is as beautiful as melting ice and snow. He curled his lips and looked at her. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Lu Xining was startled, always feeling that he meant something else. His eyes fell on his legs, and he reached out and touched the blanket covering him. The sooner he recovered, the sooner he could get out of the wheelchair. Lu Xining is single now, and he still has a chance. Jimai saw through the emotions in Song Henian's eyes at a glance. This man's thoughts on Lu Xining have not changed. Even he suddenly returned to the Song family. Thinking of this, he felt even colder. After sending Song Henian away, Lu Xining returned to the second floor in a rage. She grabbed his collar and dragged him back to the study room for fear of waking up the children. Anger made her cheeks flushed, and her dazzling almond eyes reflected his shadow, with accusations and questions. "Jimai, I told you not to come out, are you deaf?" He answered seriously, "I didn't go out the door." Lu Xining. "Is the door?" She said, "The door." Jimai's eyes moved down and fell below her collarbone. "So late, you are dressed like this to meet a strange man?" She choked back directly, "Is it your business?" Indeed, Jimai now has no status to manage her, and a breath is stuck in his throat, and he can't spit it out. But at this time, Lu Sisi called him. The woman's soft voice with a crying tone was clearly transmitted to Lu Xining's ears through the speaker of the mobile phone in the silent night. Where have you been? I'm so scared. I dreamed that Lu Xining scratched my face with a knife. She wanted me to be unable to see anyone for the rest of my life. My wound hurts so much. Painkillers don't work. I can't sleep all night. You also have insomnia. You can understand me, right? Please come back. I don't dare to trust anyone now. I only trust you. Please don't leave me. Without you, I really don't know how to live. Please come back to accompany me, okay? Lu Sisi cried bitterly, as if she would die immediately if he didn't go back. But Jimai's thoughts at the moment were not on Lu Sisi's phone call. His burning eyes were fixed on the mockery on Lu Xining's face. There are bodyguards at the door of the ward, no one can hurt you. If the wound hurts, you can go to the doctor. I can't help you if I go back. What he said was true, but Lu Sisi heard that he didn't want to go back, and maybe he was with other women. She had smelled the unfamiliar scent of jasmine before. Lu Sisi felt a strong sense of uneasiness in her heart. She kept filtering all the women around Jimai in her mind, but she had no idea. Can't you come back? For the sake of us growing up together, can you come back to see me, please? The woman's voice was full of pleading. Most men would have surrendered to her tears and grievances long ago, but Jimai was not an ordinary person. You take good care of your injuries, I will visit you when I am free. His voice was cold and didn't sound like he was comforting the woman he loved. There was even a hint of impatience between his eyebrows. Lu Xining couldn't help but sigh in her heart. When she called him to come back to have dinner with her, was there also impatience under his calm words? Are men born with bad natures? Don't you cherish what you get? The sleepiness that had been there for a long time came over her with exhaustion. She turned and walked towards the bedroom, ignoring the man behind her. Jimai stood at the door of the study and watched her leave. On the other side, Lu Sisi was still crying about her inner grievances. He looked at the message sent by Yen Dong on his private mobile phone, pulled his lips lightly, and pierced the illusion in Lu Sisi's words. The doctor said that you are recovering well and the painkillers are effective. Ji-mai sighed and said, Cece, if you want to talk, you can find your friends. If you feel uncomfortable, go to the doctor. We are just neighbors in childhood. I can't be your painkiller when I go back. His words were like a towering sharp blade, splitting the mountain of Lu Cece's longing for love in her heart, and clearly realizing that the man didn't have her in his heart. If the woman in Ji-mai's heart is not her, who else could it be? She grew up with him. From kindergarten to college, she followed his steps all the way and didn't dare to slack off at all. She is obviously the most suitable partner for him. It's all Lu Xining's fault. If she hadn't appeared and taken him away from her for 5 years, Ji Chaoji might have been her and Ji-mai's child. Yes, child, everything is because of the blood relationship of the Ji family. As long as she is pregnant with Ji-mai's child, it will be fine. He is so responsible that he will never let the flesh and blood of the Ji family be left outside. Having made up her mind, Lu Cece began a new round of planning. The sun rose slowly from the sea level, magnificent, layers of ripples intertwined, ushering in the most beautiful scene of the day. Lu Cece found her plastic surgeon and found Lu Xining's photo on her mobile phone. She was determined to get Ji-mai. She made up her mind and said, my face will be based on hers. Lu Xining didn't know that Lu Cece, who regarded her as his lifelong enemy, would choose her as the only template for plastic surgery. At this time, she was dressing her daughter. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe had already put on their clothes and took the initiative to go to the bathroom to wash. Yesterday, Lu Xining said that she would take them to the car amusement park, and the two sons were excited for a long time before falling asleep. Although Lu Nuonuo didn't understand the difference between a car amusement park and an ordinary amusement park, she was infected by the happiness of the two brothers, and her eyes sparkled early in the morning. After getting dressed, she couldn't wait to run to the bathroom. Lu Nuonuo, brother, brush your teeth. Ji Chao skillfully squeezed toothpaste for his sister. When she finished brushing her teeth, Ji Zhe had already handed her a small towel. The two brothers enjoyed the feeling of taking care of their sister. The three of them came out of the bathroom hand in hand. Lu Xining had just changed her clothes and came out of the cloakroom. She said to them gently, Nuonuo, take your brother to have breakfast, and mom will be here in a while. However, when Lu Xining arrived at the restaurant, she saw two men confronting each other, one cold and one hot, one ice and one fire, and the atmosphere was about to explode. Three little ones, one holding a bottle of milk, two holding milk, their eyes turned back and forth on their bodies, their movements were synchronized, soft and cute. Episode 64. Dad's identity can no longer be hidden. Jing Zhang and Ji-mai sat in the living room, looking at each other coldly, the latter's aura far ahead. The two brothers Ji Chao and Lu Nuonuo squatted beside them, looking up curiously at them, not understanding what they were doing. The little dumpling rolled his round eyes, poked Ji Chao's arm, and said softly, brother, your father doesn't speak. Ji Chao nodded, your uncle doesn't speak either. Ji Zhe's eyes were confused, are they playing 1, 2, 3 statues? Lu Xining directly ignored Jing Zhang and Ji-mai, and returned to the restaurant with the three little ones, telling them to have a good breakfast. Jing Zhang was called away by a phone call from the laboratory. Before leaving, he glared at Ji-mai fiercely and said harsh words to him. Don't be complacent. Ji-mai gave him a cold and indifferent look, calm and composed, like a lion provoked by a fox, and did not take his harsh words to heart at all. Lu Xining, who was taking care of the children, looked back at Jing Zhang, wondering, what did Ji-mai say to force people like this? Jing Zhang walked in front of her and deliberately raised his voice. Sister Ning, you and your current brother-in-law must be good, and never give some scumbags a chance. Lu Xining was confused. He left after he finished speaking, leaving an air-conditioning perpetual motion machine in the living room, and a pair of cold and deep ink-colored pupils stopped on her face. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe woke up early in the morning and saw that their father was at home. They were so happy that they hurriedly pulled him to the dining table to eat. In front of the children, Lu Xining has always been a gentle and loving mother. She did not refuse the man to come to the table. The two little guys were busy getting him bowls and chopsticks, sharing their favorite dishes with him, and not forgetting to pick up dishes for her and her sister. After spending more and more time together, Lu Xining and the twins have a better relationship, and they also show their true character in front of her. Especially with Lu Nuonuo, the baby. The time the family of four spends together is always full of laughter. Dad, do you have time today? After a night of sleep, Ji-mai's spirit has improved a lot. He looked up while playing with the children, touched Ji Zhe's little head, and asked with concern, what's wrong? Jize couldn't wait to tell him, his voice full of expectations. Mom is going to take us to the car amusement park today. Dad, if you have time, we can go together. Lu Xining tried to persuade Jize. As a result, Ji Mai agreed first. He also asked Yendong to send his suitcase in, changed his clothes and went to the amusement park with them. Just as he arrived at the entrance of the amusement park, Ji Mai received a call from the hospital where Lu Sisi was. Not knowing what the other side said, Ji Mai's face changed, and he looked at Lu Xining with complicated eyes. Lu Sisi had an accident on the operating table. Lu Xining asked him calmly, so what? If she didn't want Lu Sisi to die so easily, she wouldn't have replaced the 3-day sacrifice with a bone-eating and painful disfiguring drug at the end. Lu Sisi wouldn't be alive today. If she really died on the operating table of plastic surgery, it would be the retribution for her evil deeds. Ji Mai explained to Lu Xining, I need to go there, and I'll accompany you and the children next time. Seeing that she didn't speak, he squatted down and explained the reason to the 3 children. Ji Chao and Ji Zhe nodded obediently. Lu Nuonuo didn't understand, and seeing that her twin brothers nodded, she also nodded and gave a bright smile. Ji Mai touched her little head lovingly. After calming the children's emotions, the black Maybach had already stopped at the entrance of the amusement park, and Yendong was waiting there with bodyguards. Ji Mai got in the car and rolled down the window, looking at Lu Xining and the 3 children at the entrance of the amusement park. The little ones were waving goodbye to him, but Lu Xining kept her back to him and didn't react at all. The car slowly drove away. Yendong suddenly received a message he had been waiting for a long time. He immediately turned around and said, Mr. Ji, there is news about the wife's current husband that you asked me to check before. Before leaving Yuqiao village, Ji Mai asked Yendong to check the information of Lu Xining's current husband, but he never found any relevant information. After visiting the village, there was no news about Nuonuo's father. Yu Sen, who was previously admitted by her, was obviously a shield. He loved his wife and son very much. When he learned that his wife's time was running out, he wanted to commit suicide for love, and it was impossible for him to have an ambiguous relationship with Lu Xining. After multiple investigations, the man called Monkey also confirmed that he and Lu Xining were not in a husband and wife relationship. It can be said that he checked all the opposite sex around Lu Xining, but he never found any information about the current husband. The news stopped, and Yendong was worried for a long time. I didn't expect to have an unexpected surprise today. After my wife left Jingzhou, she would take a special plane to the laboratory every 3 months, and take the children to go shopping and eat with a man. The photo was blurry. It was retrieved from a roadside dashcam. Only the man's back could be seen, not his front. Yendong had a bold guess in his heart, Mr. Ji, is there a possibility that my wife didn't remarry? Otherwise, according to the influence of the Ji family at home and abroad, how could they not find any information after investigating for so long? Unless, this person did not exist from the beginning to the end. Hearing this, Ji Mai's eyes were like torches. He had reviewed every detail since he and Lu Xining reunited late at night. Whether it was his daughter's injury or her encountering problems, the current husband she mentioned never appeared once. When he took Lu Nuonuo to the company before, he also got words from the child, and the little guy obviously didn't know that he had a father. This morning he also deliberately tested Jing Zhang. At this moment, a question appeared in Ji Mai's mind, Lu Xining, is she really remarried? His voice was as cold as ever, keep checking. Yendong understood. It takes more than 2 hours to fly from here to country H. Lu Xining tried to suppress her anger at the man's repentance and accompanied the children to play all the facilities they wanted to play. After playing for a day, the children came back and fell asleep on the dining table while eating. She and the aunt at home bathed the 3 children and took them back to the room. After they fell asleep, Lu Xining went to take a bath. After walking for a day, she turned on the water for herself to take a good bath. After just a short bath, Lu Xining heard a crazy knock on the door. She frowned and opened her eyes, put on a bathrobe and went to open the door. Madam, Mr. Ji was. Yendong didn't need to speak. Lu Xining had already smelled the rich charm fragrance on the man. The smell was a little familiar. It was like the special effect fragrance specially developed by Xian Laboratory for some wealthy people in country M who were unable to do their best. Lu Xining stepped aside and let Yendong help the man in first. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at the man on the sofa with a cold sweat on his face. His shirt was soaked with sweat and stuck to his body. Ji Mai's good figure from years of exercise was clearly visible at this moment. What was more striking was, she asked with interest, what happened? Ji Mai relied on his strong willpower to restrain the reaction of the drugs in his body, but he collapsed the moment he saw her. Yen Dong was also nervous all the way and sweated all over. Mr. Ji's itinerary was exposed. A competitor ambushed on the way to the hospital. Their background is not clean. They drugged Mr. Ji. I have consulted the accompanying doctor on the way here. This medicine is too strong. The medicines prescribed by the doctor are useless. ZN Laboratory has the best doctors. Please help me, madam, and ask someone to take a look at Mr. Ji. Yen Dong spoke very quickly. He was afraid that if he spoke slowly, his boss would explode and die. Lu Xining raised the corner of her eye, not hurriedly, with a hint of teasing and joking in her voice. It's just a charm fragrance, just find a willing woman to relieve your boss. Don't worry, it won't have any side effects on your body. Episode 65. She cried and pushed him away. Hearing this, the man on the sofa suddenly opened his eyes, and his sharp black eyes stared at the smile on Lu Xining's face. From the eyes to the nose, and then to the bright red lips, Ji Mai used a bewitching look to convey a message that made people dry their mouths. Lu Xining. Let him find a woman, what does he want to do with her? The head of the Ji family, the head of the wealthy family, has been blessed with all the top resources in the world since birth, and he only takes the best of everything. No matter how beautiful a woman is, in his eyes, she is just a shell that can't stir up the slightest ripple. There is only one exception. Lu Xining is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. When he first saw her, she grabbed all his sights, and her tough eyes, neither humble nor arrogant, left an indelible mark in his heart. Ji Mai never told her these. Yen Dong was keenly aware of the rising temperature in the air, and he found a random excuse to leave. Madam, my Xiao He is about to give birth, I'll go back to see him. Secretary Yen, isn't your Xiao He a male dog? I just took him to Thailand for surgery some time ago. Thanks to the great technology, Xiao He can contribute his love to his wife. Before Lu Xining had time to continue speaking, Yen Dong had already run away, and his voice floated in the wind. Madam, I'll leave President Ji to you. Lu Xining gritted her teeth, she really deserves to be the chief secretary of Shuren Group. When something happens, she runs faster than a rabbit. In the living room, Ji Mai, who was left alone, looked like a lone wolf who had been hungry for a long time in an uninhabited area, his black eyes staring at her lips. His atoms. Apple rolled up and down, bringing a warm feeling to the air. Lu Xining hurriedly took 2 steps back, but forgot that there was a wall behind her. The man took 2 steps at a time and came to her, holding her wrist, and his burning body temperature was transmitted to her heart through his palm. Lu Xining resisted subconsciously. She tried to kick his legs, but he held them, and her move to grab his eyes with her backhand was easily blocked. Ji Mai's strength and dominance came over her, with an innate sense of power. Lu Xining turned her face away, not wanting to look at his overly hot eyes. Ji Mai, let me go. Not only did the man not let go, he took a step forward. Under the influence of drugs, he could only see Lu Xining's chattering red lips. Very fragrant, very close, very tempting. He couldn't help but want to pick her sweetness. The hot breath sprayed on her cheek, and when it was about to touch her skin, Lu Xining reached out and covered his approaching thin lips. Soft against the palm of her hand, her heart trembled. Ji Mai, calm down. Let me go first, I'll get you the antidote. His low and hoarse voice, as if it was also burned by the flame, was filled with heat, and he moved closer to her earlobe. Didn't you say that it would be enough to relieve it? Ji Mai, you are crazy, I am Lu Xining, not Lu Sisi. A chuckle came from her ear. Like a light feather, it slowly scratched her eardrum, and the tingling feeling continued to spread to her limbs. Ji Mai curled his lips, I know. He knows? What does he know? Lu Xining supported Ji Mai's chest with both hands and pushed him hard. As she pushed, she said, I really have medicine to remove the charm of your body, Ji Mai, let go quickly. Whenever her emotions fluctuate, the corners of her eyes will always turn red. It looks like she was scared and crying. The little strength Lu Xining struggled with was like tickling to Ji Mai, and it had no effect at all. His body, the palm of his hand holding her wrist, were like red-hot iron, and just getting close to her would make her feel her breath hot. Ji Mai held her chin with his fingertips and said in a seductive voice, Lu Xining. What do you think will happen if you don't take the antidote? Don't take it? This medicine was developed to restore masculinity. For those men who are powerless, there is no need for an antidote. It's just that she is used to taking a medicine and matching it with an antidote. I didn't expect it to come in handy today. The heat from Ji Mai's body was transmitted to her through her clothes. His strong arms blocked her way, and the strong hormonal temperament entangled in her nostrils, gradually corroding her reason. At this moment, the man leaned close to her ear. His voice was very light but not without reason, and he asked about the concerns that he didn't even realize. Lu Xining, are you really remarried? In fact, if she looked more carefully, she could see the man's eyes, and he had never completely fallen into the abyss created by the charm fragrance. Lu Xining, whose brain was gradually becoming chaotic, suddenly woke up after hearing the words. She looked up at Ji Mai's eyes, calm and sober, without any confusion or intolerance caused by the charm fragrance. Lu Xining's heart skipped a beat, and she finally reacted. Ji Mai's performance just now was all fake. The charm fragrance she developed may be able to influence the thoughts of ordinary people, but who is Ji Mai? The president of Shuren Group and the head of the Ji family, the top of the wealthy families. For people with their family background, this kind of drug is a risk that they have to avoid since childhood. How could he fall for it easily? Sure enough, it was all pretended to test her. Realizing this, Lu Xining pushed Ji Mai away with all her strength, wiped the wrist that he had held with a wet tissue, and threw it into the trash can in front of him, with obvious disgust in her eyes. Ji Mai, you're too much. She threw him in the living room and went straight back to the master bedroom. Ji Mai, who was pushed downstairs on the sofa by her and did not get up, looked down at his own embarrassment and raised one hand to cover his eyes. He laughed at himself in a low voice. Is it too much? Ji Mai sat alone in the corner of the sofa in the dark, like an emperor in a high position, inspecting his territory. He closed his eyes and held back the tide of his body. A few minutes later, Ji Mai heard a rustling sound. As soon as he opened his eyes, a small bottle was thrown into his arms. It was Lu Xining who brought him the antidote for the charm fragrance. In the darkness, Ji Mai's mouth rose silently, and his face turned cold again after thinking of the question that Lu Xining refused to answer. This night, he spent it on the sofa in the living room. When Lu Xining woke up the next day, there was no trace of Ji Mai downstairs, and the small white jade-colored porcelain bottle on the coffee table was empty. Country H. The man who led the attack on him last night was blocked at home by Yan Dong and his men. At this moment, his head was pressed in the water and he kept struggling. Mr. Mu, if you offend someone you shouldn't offend, you have to bear the corresponding consequences. I remember your son just turned 18, right? Please, don't mess with my son. It's all my fault. If you want revenge, just come at me. You're really brave. It's a pity that we have an old saying, if you don't uproot the grass, it will grow again in the spring breeze. Yan Dong's eyes were cold. There was no calmness and smoothness of the secretary of the president of Shuren Group. He raised the thing in his hand, pressed it against the other's temple, and slowly raised a cruel smile. Why don't you invite Mr. Mu's son in to see his father for the last time? Time waits for no one. Time passed by. The boy was caught from his and his friend's birthday party. Seeing his embarrassed father, his eyes widened in horror. It was clear that an hour ago, they were still celebrating his coming-of-age ceremony in their own manner and accepting blessings from relatives and friends. As a result, both of them are now bruised and swollen. Dad. With a few muffled sounds, Ji Mai hung up the phone expressionlessly on the other end of Yan Dong's Bluetooth headset. His aura was indifferent and indifferent. Deal with it cleanly.